Hey guys, how's it going? This is Cam with Stoic Soldier. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much again for joining me. Um, Hope everyone's having a fantastic Monday. Great start to their week. As promised, one video every single week, if not more, but making sure I'm keeping it one to the absolute minimum. Because as I said, I made this commitment and promise to myself as well as several others that I was going to keep up with this project, this investment that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. And as we talked about before, no matter what it is that you're doing, even if you can't do everything at once, just do something that's going to contribute to what you're doing, to your desire, to your goal. To It's something that's going to eventually lead you to your destination. Okay, no matter what, big or small, fast or slow, something that's going to get you to where you want to go. Okay, so doing a little recap of the last video, it was titled Reacting versus Responding. Um, Not just the recap today, I also want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more. So, to start off, we talked about reacting being an answer out of a place of emotion. It's more of an outburst, it's a knee jerk reaction. Okay? That usually is something that we do when our emotions are stirred up and then we just act right then and there. Whereas a response, on the other hand, that's an answer that comes from a place of peace, inner peace. You That's an answer that comes from a place with confidence. That comes from a place of composure. Okay, so again, you can still answer to whatever situation comes your way or whoever comes your way, but not doing it from a place of emotion. That's really the big thing. Now, as to why we react more often than not, it's for a variety of reasons. So let's say that somebody insults you. Let's say that somebody says something negative about you, and all of a sudden you just get stirred up. Now, a lot of times the reason why we react a certain way is maybe because of a certain way that we feel about ourselves. Maybe it's a certain way that we were taught to think. For example, you look at these people on Instagram and you see that they're only posting that they have these fantastic, luxurious lifestyles. And then you think to yourself that why don't I have this? How come I'm behind the curve? You start thinking to yourself, maybe I haven't done as much with my life as I should have. You start feeling insecure. You start beating yourself down. We've all done it. I've done it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. However, ultimately, you have to break past that illusion because that's just what it is. Okay? This is a facade. This is like a little fairy tale movie. Okay? People post these things for publicity, but that doesn't make it the whole truth. There is no such thing as a perfect life. There's no such thing as a perfect anything. The word perfect itself is damn near non-existent. Okay? If you're a big believer in spirituality like I am, somebody who's practicing regularly, you'll know that the law of duality is something that's inescapable. Okay? The law of duality basically sums up saying that there are two opposing forces in the universe, light, dark, negative, positive, and they're always in motion with each other. They live together on opposite sides, but they work in harmony regardless, and we're no different given that we're part of the universe. Our lives are the exact same. We have our ups and downs, we have our happy days, we have our sad days, and that's something that's never going to end. Neither of them last forever. The cloudy days, the dark days don't last forever, and then the happy sunny days don't last forever. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's not all darkness and rainstorms either. That's something that we have to understand. So, for you to sit there looking at this person's page, seeing all these pictures that they're posting, torturing yourself and saying, why don't I have this? Again, realizing that this is not reality right here. More than likely, there's tons of other things that are going on behind the scenes, but society has programmed you, and the people around you possibly even have programmed you into thinking that this is the kind of life that you need to live. This is how you're supposed to be living. Okay? Now, again, that's not true. And secondly, there's no, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. There is no one size fits all. If this is not the life for you, then you have to decide that for yourself. If it is the life for you, again, you have to decide that for yourself. You make the executive decisions in your life. No one else can decide that for you. So now going back to what we were talking about, we were taught to think a certain way. We were taught to think that this is an insult, or that that's a compliment, or that this is something you should be proud of. This is something that you should be ashamed of and hide under the rug. And then somebody mentions it to you, and the next thing you know, you start shriveling up. So me, of course, as everybody else, I've come from my share of judgment growing up. I've had my doubters. I, as well as many other people who have decided to go outside of what's considered normal, not resorting to conformity, stepping outside of what's considered the status quo. These are the ones who face the most backlash. They get ostracized, they get judged, they get ridiculed, because these are the few individuals that are actually willing and have the courage to step outside of what's considered normal. Now, again, growing up, two things that I learned when it comes to any kind of feedback from other people, positive and negative. So both apply. Number one, is it true? Is there truth behind it? And only you can answer that. So if somebody makes a comment about your weight or makes a comment about the way you dressed, first and foremost, take a look at yourself. Forget them for a second. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, do I look good? Do I like the way I look? Because you could be dressed like a multi-millionaire. You can have chains, you can have nice dress shoes, you can have Rolexes, you can have $500 Bulgaris on, and regardless of that, you'll still get backlash. Because chances are there's something about you that doesn't feel comfortable with it. But once you walk in whatever environment that you go into and you fully own and embrace who you are and the way that you are and the way you look, everything about yourself, the chances of you feeling any kind of judgment, notice I said feeling, there's probably still going to be judgment, but the chances of you feeling it are going to go from here to about here. So, number one is it true? How do you actually feel about it? Do you see it? And then number two, who is this individual that's casting this judgment? Who is this individual that's making these comments that are jumping to the conclusion that what you're saying or what you're doing is in any way wrong? And do they have any authority to say that? Now, think, if I'm coaching someone as a fitness trainer, and while I'm sitting there having them do 100 sets of burpees, hundreds of push-ups, dozens of sets of crunches, and I'm just sitting on my ass, stuffing my face with McDonald's, which I would never do, because it sickens me. If I'm just sitting there scrolling on my phone, I got a big old beer gut, is that somebody that you'd want to listen to? As the saying goes, practice what you preach. That is not somebody who should be giving any kind of health-related advice whatsoever. You're more than likely not going to want to work with that person anymore. Somebody, on the other hand, who's fit, who's constantly conditioning, who's putting themselves through some kind of hell every day, that's the kind of person that you're going to want to look to. You look at that individual and say, I want to be where he's at. There was this one episode of David Goggins that I was watching where he was running out in the desert the way he always does. He's running under any conditions or circumstances whatsoever. This one guy pulls up to him and he says, brother, you're out here. David Goggins responds to him, yeah, because you're not. That instantly changed him. That changed that guy's mentality altogether. A real leader leads by example. A real leader doesn't follow the crowd. He chooses his own path, and those who want to follow, they will follow. He's doing something that nobody else wants to do. And in his mind, he says, I want to do it. I'm comfortable doing this. Matter of fact, I thrive off of this. And then next thing you know, he's starting a whole movement. So whatever you feel that you want to try, whatever you feel that you want to do, you need to give yourself that acceptance. That validation needs to come from you. It cannot come from an external source. So once you have that comfortability with with yourself, what you're doing, what you plan to do, As you start seeing progress within yourself, and once you start becoming confident with that progress, once you genuinely start feeling proud of that progress, other people will eventually follow. But it all has to start with you first and foremost. So even though you may face judgment and backlash along the way, it may not disappear, but the effect of it is going to lessen and lessen over time. Now, that doesn't mean, again, that you can't take constructive criticism and use it as a tool to better yourself, but you also cannot let it shut you down. Okay? Because I've been guilty of that. I've done that in the past, and eventually I had to realize that even though I want to better myself in certain categories, I still need to stay true to myself. I still need to stay committed to what I want, to my soul, to my ambition, and still keep my head down if people are going to doubt, because they will. And when they do, don't give it power. The more you react to it, the more power you give them, just like I talked about. Whereas when you nod your head, you're calm, you're collected, and then you look the other way, it can't do anything to you. They feel powerless. You maintain the power that you have, and then you can channel that energy towards your ambition, towards whatever you're aspiring to do. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. Again, is it true what others are saying? Secondly, who's saying it? Is it a valid, credible source? Take those into consideration, but at the end of the day, the man in the mirror, that's the one that makes the executive decision. You are the only one who you need that validation from. You accept you, everyone else is going to have to. There is no other choice. All right. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Pleasure to have you guys all here. Do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe for those of you who haven't already, and more videos to come within the next week. Okay? Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.